Hey there, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a really important visa for families looking to reunite in Australia, the Subclass 445, also known as the Dependent Child Visa. Look, if you're on a partner visa pathway and you're trying to figure out how to bring your child over to join you, then you are in exactly the right place. So, this is the big question, right? It's something that's on the minds of so many parents. You're here in Australia, you're on a temporary partner visa, but your child isn't with you. And that wait for the permanent visa, man, it can feel like it's taking forever. All you want is your family together. So how do you do it? How can you close that distance? Well, the answer is this visa we're talking about today, the Subclass 445. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a bridge. It's not permanent, but it is so important. It's the visa that lets your child come to Australia and live with you while the Department of Home Affairs is still working on your permanent partner visa. It brings your family together a whole lot sooner. Okay, so before we even get into the details for your child, we have to start with the foundation. And that means you, the parent, and your sponsor. We've got to make sure everything on your end is squared away first. This part is, well, it's absolutely non-negotiable. All right, first things first, we've got to check your own visa status. As the parent, you absolutely must be holding one of three specific temporary visas. That's either a partner provisional visa, the subclass 309, or the partner visa subclass A20, or in some situations, you might even hold a 445 yourself. Having one of these is proof that you're already on that partner visa pathway, and that's the starting block for this whole process. And this next point is super important, so don't miss it. The person who sponsors your child has to be the exact same person who sponsored your partner visa. You can't change sponsors. The government is really strict about this. They need that consistency. The whole sponsorship setup for your family needs to stay the same. Now, this is serious and it's all about protecting children, which is, of course, the Australian government's #1 priority. You need to know that a sponsorship can be refused if the sponsor has a conviction or even a pending charge for what's called a registrable offense. Now, that usually means serious crimes, especially those against children or violent crimes. This is a really critical part of the visa system's safeguards. Okay, so we've covered the rules for the parent and the sponsor. Now let's switch gears and focus on what's needed for your child. We'll just go through it like a checklist, one step at a time. So when it comes to your child's eligibility, the magic number is 18. Everything kind of hinges on that age. If your child is under 18, it's pretty straightforward. They're automatically considered a dependent, easy enough. But if they are 18 or older, then you have to prove that they're still financially dependent on you, that you're still covering their basic living costs. Next up, we've got two checks that are standard for most visas, but they are absolutely mandatory. First is the health requirement. The child has to have a medical examination and pass it. And second, if your child is 16 years or older, they'll also need to meet the character requirement. Pretty standard stuff, but you have to do it. Okay, this one seems really simple, but it can definitely trip people up. If there are any outstanding debts owed to the Australian government, either by your child or on their behalf, they have to be paid back completely. Or you need to have a formal official repayment plan in place. No getting around this one. All right, let's move on to what is, probably the most important part of this whole application, the specific rules that are in place to protect the child's safety and well-being. For any child who's under 18, this is a huge one. You have to prove, without a doubt, that you have the legal permission for them to travel and move to Australia, and you can do that in one of three ways. You can get written consent from every single person who has a legal say in where the child lives. Or you could provide proof that the laws in the child's home country allow them to leave. And the third option is having a specific Australian court order that allows for the travel. Now, for older kids, there's another step. If your child is 18 or over, they have to read a booklet called Life in Australia and then sign the Australian Values Statement. And the heart of that statement is this promise right here. I will respect the Australian way of life and obey Australian laws. Look, after all the forms are filled out and all the boxes are ticked, it all comes down to this one single thing. This is the guiding principle for the Department of Home Affairs. For any child under 18, the visa will not be granted if they believe it is not in the child's best interests. That is the ultimate test. Okay, we are just about there. We've gone through the rules for the parents, the sponsor, and the child. So let's wrap up with a couple of final checks and talk about what your next steps might be. So if there's one number I want you to remember from all this, it's 18. 18 is that key age where the rules really change. For kids under 18, it's all about legal consent and that best interest test. But once they turn 18, the focus shifts to proving financial dependency and signing that Australian values statement. Hey, before you go all in on this Subclass 445 visa application, there is one other path you absolutely have to look into. It's called Citizenship by Descent. Now, here's the deal. If you, the parent, were an Australian citizen at the time your child was born, this could be a much more direct route for you. It would mean your child becomes a citizen right away, and you could skip this whole visa process. Seriously, it is worth checking out. And there you have it. That's the rundown of the main eligibility rules for the Subclass 445 visa. We've laid out the foundation, gone through the checklist for your child, and highlighted those really important protection measures. Remember, the whole point of this is to bring your family together. This visa is the bridge to make that happen. So, you've got the map. The only question left is, are you ready to start building?